We all good?
Yeah, I believe so.
Are we started?
Call to order, Town of St. John Plan Commission special meeting, July 12th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. I'm sorry.
Sergio, roll call, please.
Bob Rolson,
Here.
Yolanda Cardona,
Here.
John Gill, is not here. Joe Gomestego,
Here.
Bob Valois,
Here.
Jenna Lordson,
Here.
John Kennedy is not here. Attorney Adam Decker,
Here.
Engineer John Dykstra is not here. Councilman Liaison Brian Blazak is not here. And town,
He did call and say he wasn't going to be
correct, yes. And then Town Manager Joe Wizawati.
present.
Okay, item 4 minutes, we have none. Public hearing, there is no public hearing. Item number 6, old new business. Item A, 2023-10 Park Impact Fee Zone Improvement Plan and Park Impact Fee Ordinance. Proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan to incorporate a Park Impact Fee Zone Improvement Plan and recommendation for adoption of the updated Park Impact Fee Ordinance. Discussion? Any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions, but I think Sergio is going to help out here. Serge?
Sir, so David, as part of the report, I just want to identify a quick matter that was brought.
Page 29.
Yeah, page 29, heading that way. And it looks like there's probably just a misalignment on the numbers. So if you turn to page 29, the draft plan here identifies the parks and their numbers. However, the previous page, page 28, they don't seem to align with the corresponding numbers that are identified on page 28. For example, Prairie West Park is identified as number 29, but in the map, it's identified as map number 27. Then in the map, you've got number 26 duplicated twice. Number 26 really is number 28, Lake Hills Park. So, and then same thing with Civic Park. It looks like Civic Park was identified as number 25, but on the map here, it's identified as 24. So it looks like the number of parks that we have, given the quantity of parks that we have, there may have been some misalignment, and we just wanted to bring that to your attention. So the final draft could be corrected.
Yeah, Dave, if you
Yes.
could go through that with Mike O'Shea and just clarify each of those so we could have a corrected copy for the council.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely do that.
And so I think the thought is that once that's corrected, that helps facilitate, or at least have a better understanding on the funds that are being allocated or for the projects that are being identified within the document itself. So that was just the discussion, I think, that what was wanted to bring it up for this evening.
Yeah, we will make that change as quickly as we can, hopefully tomorrow, and we'll get that back to you guys.
Joe, you got another
Well,
question?
my question would be that, I know there's a lot of work that you guys put into this. I always appreciate that every time you do a research as such. My question is that the alignment of those numbers, are they going to be consistent with the parks? Because I can't see the park that we're talking about, the 29, which is Prairie Park. Or the one that we're looking at, that's number 27 right now. I like to see how the money was generated or raised to come up with the gross amount or the total amount.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And that's the only, I know that sometimes when we're doing these things, it does get a little,
Well,
Some-
I think that, to your point, Joe, I think that the totality of the numbers, even if they're misaligned, are going to still be correct. But
hold it,
we
the
want to
totality?
make sure that the rest of the report, it follows through with the numbering order for
yeah,
those
that's
parts.
just
That's
it.
all.
Yeah, yeah, if we could have, I know that the devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
Joe, but the point here is that sometimes when you have misalignment, and then all of a sudden, the people out there in St. John are saying, well, when's this part going to be taken care of? Or how much money, why is this part aligned, not properly given that much money, or provided that estimate? It kind of confuses them, and the least amount we get the general public confused, the better off we all are, that we're making sound decisions based on numbers that we could attach ourselves to. A
Yeah.
lot of board members, and I'm not speaking in their behalf, but sometimes when they start asking questions, and people ask them questions out there, they can come up pretty hairy. So I went through this, and I know, Gina, you put a lot of work into it, and I was supposed to call you. I'm sorry, and ask you a question, but I just got through. I'm sorry?
My name's Jenna.
Jenna, I'm sorry, Jenna. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't being disrespectful to you, that I didn't call you. Just as I'm going through all this, I'm going, wait a second, what about this? And all these questions I came up with. So I thought I'd bring them up at this hearing. So the gentleman who generated this project could give us some answers. And maybe they did mess up here, but perhaps they could align the numbers there for our own interest and for the interest of the town council, the town commissioners.
Now, when you're saying align the numbers, like as I'm flipping through this, we've got like the different numbered maps are not like are not in order of. Are you asking for a reordering of through the document of those that would be like, if you map 1 and then map 2, map 3, map 4, is that part of what you consider the alignment issue?
No, I think, and Joe, if you don't mind, I'll just.
No, go ahead,
to it.
because we talked about this.
I think the concerns expressed here are I'm not sure if you can see the screen, but on page 28, they have the park names and coordinating numbers with it. However, they don't match up with the maps themselves. And so I think what the commissioner is asking is that those align up. Those numbers coordinate with the map and the park itself, because later on in the document it references the planned improvements of those parks, and so they just want to. I think he wants to confirm that what is being referenced with the improvements are correct with the numbers that are referenced or identified within the map.
Yeah, no, I understand that concern completely, and yes, we will. We'll rectify that.
Joe, you got any other questions?
Not right now, sir, unless you do. I just,
Anyone else? Sergio, you have anything to add, or
I do not.
David, you have anything?
No, really, I'm just here for a question and answer. Any comments anyone has? I'm happy to take any questions.
there's,
So I have some documents here in front of me. Is Mr. Adam, is this some of these items I'm to read in the record, or the recommendation of adoption, or the findings, or?
No, no.
Okay.
No, the recommendation of adoption appeared to be action taken by the advisory committee. That's not really necessary to be considered by the Plan Commission.
Okay.
The two items tonight are the amendment to the comprehensive plan to incorporate the St. John Park and Recreational Infrastructure Zone Improvement Plan. That's one item, and that is an amendment to the comprehensive plan, which requires an affirmative vote of the Plan Commission, and the document that is presented is the certification. So once, if and when the Plan Commission approves that amendment, it needs to be certified and sent to the town council. And then the second item is the consideration of the park impact fee ordinance itself. And I know that's been provided, and that is similar to what would be considered a change in the zone maps. Under the 1300 series, this would be, again, considered by the Plan Commission with a recommendation to the town council. And if it receives a favorable recommendation from this board, it is to be certified to the town council. So two separate items.
And that's the certification pursuant to the requirement of IC 36-7-4-605. Is that the document you're referring to?
That's the code section that I'm referring to, right, and it relates back to 3674-1311B, which specifically is the provision regarding impact fees.
Okay.
That's correct.
So if we don't have any more questions, concerns, guess looking for a motion for amendment to the comprehensive plan to incorporate a park impact fee zone improvement plan.
I have a quick question for David. David, absent the legend issues that John or Joe was talking about, the actual information, so the hard data after that section in the reports, it's like page 30 something, that data is correct, right? As far as, so if we go off of just the name of the park rather than that legend that used those numbers, that is correct, right? As far as the information as to that specific park.
Yes, I believe it is just a numbering connection issue. I believe all the data is correct.
Referring to Edgewood Estates Park?
Yeah, like
If
it-
that's named the right,
Right, like if we just use the name of the park and not the legend that Joe was referencing earlier, like that information as it pertains to the park, that's correct. I think that's what he was saying earlier, right?
Yes.
Let's just go with
yes. Yeah. The information that is in those tables, yes, we feel very confident that is correct information.
you have the names correct, but not the numbering.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and looking through that, it looks like all of the parks are correct.
Yeah.
It's just that the map and the key
Yeah.
are quirky. But
Yeah.
to David's point, they're gonna have that fixed.
You know, and for your consideration, you may want to make the motion stating that you recommend it with the issues that you found to be fixed. I think that's very I mean, that if I were in your shoes, that's probably what I would do.
Yeah. Sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
On this on this estimated cost, is there a backup to all these numbers? Like, let's see, just say figure 9, the capital improvement for Lantern Woods. And I'm just picking one randomly, sir. You have for the new playground equipment with pour-in-place surfacing, $140,000, right?
Okay, what page?
That would be
are-
page
you're-
15, sir.
Okay. Get to that. Okay.
I'm just using that as an example. There it is.
Yeah.
That's an example. So that 140,000, you must have an estimated, some backup numbers to basically say this is what makes up the $140,000.
Yes, and some of those I'd have to go and see if which ones were actually created by us and which ones were created by staff. But a lot of that was actually information that Michael O'Shea and his staff had done on the front end. But yes, those are. We feel confident that's a true and estimate cost.
I have no objections to that. I think you're, getting the bottom dollar.
But mine, that's today's numbers. That's not 5 years out.
Right, that's today's numbers. But, and again, I'm looking at but I also want to see today's numbers that make up that number, that 140,000. And that's just one element. So if I could just get.
Yeah, we can do that.
If you don't mind, sir, so I could at least.
Yeah, Michael, is Michael O'Shea in the audience tonight?
No, he's not.
No, he is not.
Okay, he's not. Yeah, let me get with Michael on that, because some of the background information came from his department. Some of it came from us. We added a lot of the items that are cost related to ADA, Americans with Disabilities. But a lot of the starting spot of this information did come from the department itself. So we would need to compile that with the department to give you that more detailed information, which we're happy to do. But I'll get with Michael tomorrow, and we'll get together as quick as we can to get that information to you. But I wouldn't be able to give you a breakdown on each one of those today, because some of that information did start with the department.
No, I understand that, sir. I do.
Okay.
I was going through these numbers again, and I'm going, what makes that up? What makes
Yeah.
And it's
No, I
just
understand that.
a little bit, because I've been, sometimes when you do budgets and all that stuff, people put numbers in there, and I go, that sounds good, but let's see what makes up that number. And,
No, I understand that.
in all fairness, I'm sorry to be a pain in the rear end on this, sir.
Well, I'm
No,
sure Michael
that's
Shea
okay.
gets his numbers from previous
Right.
projects, which they've done.
Yeah, they've
plenty
done a lot of those with
projects,
new toy, or is it new
That's
toys?
the pour and play and stuff like that. I've seen
all
it
of
all
those
go
numbers
in,
are
and
pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say they're very accurate. Just from previous jobs.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that, that's all. And I agree with you that there's two people that are putting numbers together, and then all of a sudden you go, wait a second, where's this one come from? That's all I was asking.
It's usually kind of like creating your own grocery list, 12
Right.
bucks for a dozen eggs,
Right.
$2 for a gallon of milk. You just kind of know what those prices are based on catalogs for construction costs. And so,
Oh, no, I have no problem with, and I do agree with you, but I just wanted to see see all that stuff in there.
$1.96 for a half gallon.
It's always interesting, the devil's in the details.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
So not seeing those numbers, is that something that you think you have to see before?
Just to put my arms around it, just so I could understand. I know that Bob knows how it's all made up, which is wonderful, but I just wanted to see that. And I've done audits on schools that are trying to push bonds that I'm going, what's this here? $10,000. And they go, well, that's for the office. I go, $10,000? It's a chair. What kind of chair is this? No. So I'm not saying that happens, by the way, okay? I'm just trying to be cautious because especially nowadays, people begin to ask more questions and I can just see them, how they start to act up. And I don't want anything to go back against the town commissioners or anybody who works hard diligently in trying to get these things approved. So that's the only thing I needed to do. And this, what I found out, the numbering system, because it's not only one page, but it's also on 120, that page 120, that it also shows them what's going on here.
David, after reviewing all of the information that was sent over and that you guys worked on throughout this project, how confident are you with the figures that were provided by staff on the portions that they provided? How confident are you in those numbers?
I'm very confident. What staff gave us was very reasonable. It made sense to us as we put it through. I mean, we looked at what staff provided us, and everything seemed reasonable. You know, I would, if Michael were here, I think he would be able to give us some more details of that. But I mean, I didn't feel that there was anything that was out of line with what we would typically see.
Yeah, there was nothing that was truly glaring at me that said, hey, this doesn't make sense, that kind of thing. And I've gone through the report several times. So we do have a time situation with respect to the park impact fees. We're looking for a motion for the town council to move forward on this with respect to that. And there's always three options with respect to the recommendation. You can make a recommendation on this. You can make an unfavorable recommendation on it. You can make no recommendation on it. Am I correct on that?
Well, Mr. Wizawati, so with regard to the amendment to the comprehensive plan,
That has to be.
that must be approved by the Plan Commission.
correct.
So there's no recommendation. The certification is forwarded to the town council. With regard to the
The
park
impact fee.
impact fee ordinance, that requires a Plan Commission favorable recommendation. If the Plan Commission does not make a favorable recommendation, it cannot be certified to the town council.
Okay.
So it's a bit different than what the Plan
Yeah.
Commission has done in the past.
Yeah, and with respect to the plan, I don't think anything's truly out of line with the plan. That's why we hired a consultant, so that way we can get the information. It's done professionally. They've analyzed the data. They've done all of that work. My recommendation to the Plan Commission would be to let's move forward with this. If we don't pass the park impact fee, the park impact fees will lapse, which means, I guess, for the month of August or however long it takes us to debate this, everyone that applies for a permit for a home is going to get no park impact fees. So that town is going to generally lose that money. So that's something for you guys to consider as you make your decision on this.
And just, I mean, Joe, if you don't mind, and Adam, if you need to add anything else after my other statement, is that the previous park impact fee is set to expire. They're good for 5 years. And so 5 years ago, this was presented to the commissioners who were here before you in your seats as well. And so what the study has done is identified new needs and cost assessments on those needs from the public. And they presented that in this plan here as an update to the comprehensive plan. And so That's why it's here before you all, this current commission, to make that decision and recommendation for continued collection of impact fees for the parks, to continue making those improvements. If we, not that it would be ideal if at some point 5 years from now we can say we have the perfect parks. This is utopian parks everywhere. We don't need no longer impact fees, and everyone is happy, and we don't need to make any improvements in our parks. Then there could be a decision to not move forward with impact fees. But this matter would come up again in 5 years, and if you're all still able to be stewards of the community in these seats, then you would see this again in 5 years. So that's where this is being presented here before you all this evening. So
And probably, maybe to ease your mind, Joe, these cost estimates, anytime, I'm sure you know that anytime the municipality, the town, wants to do a project, they get an engineer's estimate. And that engineer uses past projects, and does he call a contractor and say, hey, give me an estimate on this? Usually not. Usually it's just past experience, past projects, similar projects that he looks at. The first one, you had the pour in place. They're probably not talking like 2 inches of cement, which wouldn't cost $140,000. They're probably talking like a rubbery mat that you pour in
Right.
place.
That's
That
what
you
it
pour
is.
in place. Dyer's done those projects. Does that sound unreasonable? No. Other numbers, replace a fence, $35,000. No. If it's, depends on the distance. Sidewalk, reseed lawn area, $9,000. Nah, I don't see any numbers really jumping out. Construct a permanent, on page 16, construct a permanent restroom facility, $360,000. It sounds like a lot, but Cherville at their main park, I think it was $450 or $500,000. So.
Depends on what kind of toilet you want, I
Yeah,
guess.
well, I mean, toilets and
Infrastructure,
is it a pole barn
Right.
facility? Is it masonry? Is it metal roof? So are these numbers exact? No.
No, and I don't accept
Yeah.
that they're estimates, and that's
They're
what
estimates.
But again, like everything, when you get estimates, you got to at least have 15% over or under
Yeah.
estimates, and that makes it a good estimate. But when I'm looking at this, I just wanted to see the buildup of it. And if they want to give it to me later on, you guys want to approve it, fine. I just want to go through it so that way I can put my arms around it.
Right.
Okay. That's my world there. I have a question with Lake Hills Park,
do you have a page we can reference on the screen here?
page 16.
You're
16?
You're on it.
Okay.
You're on, right.
Okay.
Just, did we have an impact fee there before on Lake Hills Park? Was that ours, or, give me a little scenario about Lake Hills Park. That's, is that ours? Are we maintaining that park?
But the Lake Hills
Yes, we do.
property
Yes.
is park property, yes. Town property, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
part of that whole development there. But it is part of the town's property.
okay.
Yeah,
They-
all
they
of these-
originally- They originally were talking in the previous plan, not that matters, but in the previous plan, because plans change, they were talking about putting a recreational building there.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense, I don't think, and I think they took that into consideration, especially if you're looking to do, a community center, a more centralized, instead of having all these little, hodgepodge buildings, having one central building for the whole parks program.
No, that's,
Now, Joe is correct. That is one of the thoughts that we had. The community center is a large cost, but without the community center, with the amount of need you would have had, it would have been spread across a lot more of the smaller parks. Because a lot of the smaller parks, although there are some enhancements in those that were needed, it's really more about maintenance and just adding a few things here and there, but the large cost really is the community center.
I'm sorry to,
No, you're good, Joe.
I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah, no, you're all good.
Ask questions, so.
Yeah, no, that's,
And I didn't have that much time when I got this last week, so I just wanted to go through it today thoroughly, and then just, as I started to go through it, it's questions, but that's another lifespan.
I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I think that hiring an independent agency to come in and do sort of the looking, the assessment, the evaluation, what is needed, how fast is St. John growing, what do we need? I think it makes sense, so I'm perfectly comfortable with it. Are we still kind of waiting for a motion at this point?
yeah, I can say it again, I'm looking for a motion amendment to the comprehensive plan to incorporate a park impact fee zone improvement plan, and probably want to just, in your motion, that the corrections will be made with the numbering
And the
refer- in the legend to match the park map.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan to incorporate a park impact fee zone improvement plan, contingent upon company that we hired to do this making some revisions to page 28 and 29 so that the legend aligns with the depiction of the parks within the document.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Go ahead and take that,
Go ahead,
Bob.
Jenna.
No, you go ahead.
Ladies first, Jenna.
I agree. Ladies first, Jenna.
Should we do a roll call?
Okay. Bob Rolson,
Yes.
Yolanda Cardona,
Yes.
Joe Gomestego,
Yes,
Bob Valois,
Yes.
Jenna Lordson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0.
Yes.
Second motion, I'm not sure how I say this one. Adam, help me out. The certification.
Yeah, so Mr. Burleson, I can assist you with that. So this is going to be a motion to make a favorable recommendation to the town council for adoption of the Park and Recreational Impact Fee Ordinance.
Okay, looking for a motion for favorable, recommendation, you said? Yeah, recommendation?
Favorable recommendation, yes.
Favorable recommendation for the adoption of the updated park impact fee ordinance.
I will make that motion to send a favorable recommendation for the adoption of the Park and Recreational Impact Fee Ordinance to the Town Council.
So one thing I would, sorry to interject, I would recommend that you place the dollar amount within that motion, because the full amount is the $3,423 per dwelling unit. I do think stating that dollar amount within the motion would be beneficial, just for clarity purposes.
Sure. So I will revise my motion to send a favorable recommendation to the Town Council for the adoption of the Park and Recreational Impact Fee Ordinance at the amount of $3,423 per dwelling unit.
Thank you.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bob Rolson,
Yes.
Yolanda Cardona,
Yes.
Joe Gomestego,
yes.
Bob Valois,
Yes.
Jenna Lordson.
Yes.
Okay, item 7, public comment. I don't see any public. Anybody online?
No, just David.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?